Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here. We are live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, as always, please make sure you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. The link to my Telegram is pinned in the live chat if you're watching this live now. It's in the description box below and will be pinned in the comment section once this stream is over. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news, man. Let's get into today's show. Oh boy, it begins, ladies and gentlemen. It begins, it begins, it begins. Or I should say, it began, right? It began yesterday. Tom Homan finally began mass deportation operations in Chicago. And funny enough, most of you, a good deal of you may notice already, he actually made it a point to show up himself, right? He didn't do this in Boston and all these other cities and states, Los Angeles, and so on and so forth. But like we've discussed in the past, Tom Homan, like many of us, including myself, we have a special dislike for Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker, right? So therefore, Tom Homan did make it a point to pull up to Chicago himself in the flesh, and he didn't come alone. He didn't come alone. He pulled up with Dr. Phil. So you know he means business. You know, when Dr. Phil and Tom Homan pulls up in town, you should be scared. You should be scared. You should be concerned. You should be worried. You should duck and hide. And a lot of people are hiding, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. But before we get into the folks that are hiding out in fear of Tom Homan and Dr. Phil, I want to pull up this first clip first, right? Because on Dr. Phil's, I believe his network is called Merit TV, if I'm not mistaken, right? On his channel, or I should say his network, Merit TV, he ran a special, with Tom Homan as they went through the streets of Chicago, right? Capturing illegal immigrant criminals that are out here committing crime. And here is one of the first busts, if not the very first one that took place. Let's listen to this here, and then we're going to get into some other information afterwards.
Seda.
Seda what? You have a first and last name.
Sam.
Seda Sam?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
Where are you born?
Thailand.
You been deported before from the United States?
No.
Never been deported?
But I've been in the system before.
B&B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been charged with
Charged for it.
before?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not talking about lawyer.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom's a citizen.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
But you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
We Dr. Phil. We got Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, on TV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It had just dawned on him in that moment, like, wait a minute, you're Dr. Phil. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. If I was in the middle of being arrested, federal agents all around me, they have me handcuffed like this guy right here. And out of nowhere, Dr. Phil walks up on me with a trench coat and a microphone with cameras all in my face. I'm not gonna lie. I would be so mad. I would be so irritated. Like, are you serious right now? Really? Dr. Phil just pulled up on me with Tom Homan? Come on, man. Oh, I'd be so mad. I would be so heated. But anyways, let's carry on, man. Let's carry on.
Yeah.
He was like, you're Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil.
Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of crimes involving children. And he's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than local law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with. Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really? And never been deported?
Nope.
Huh. Let's take them in, process them, lock them up.
Got it, sir.
All right, can you get a transport vehicle?
Working on it. Okay.
So that was just one of many arrests that took place with Tom Homan, Dr. Phil, and ICE agents, that evening. There were a lot of arrests that went down. But before the arrest even happened, right? The day before, I believe, if I remember correctly, the ICE operations in Chicago began yesterday, which was Sunday. But the day before, on Saturday, right, which was this weekend, a news report had came out, which showed that Chicago, at least in the quote illegal immigrant communities, they have turned into a ghost town. I mean, that's what happens once again when Tom Homan pulls up to your city with Dr. Phil. Now all of a sudden, nobody wants to come outside anymore. Yeah, what's the problem? Why is everybody running now? People sounded really big and bad prior to the ICE raids. I saw that there were protests going on in front of Trump Towers in downtown Chicago. It wasn't a big protest, a couple hundred people, nothing too crazy. But once again, when Tom Homan pulled up with Dr. Phil, all of a sudden everybody ran inside, shut their doors, and nobody was outside anymore. Let's get into this news clip right here.
Promises made, promises kept, with President Trump taking immediate action on his top campaign focus, fighting illegal immigration. From coast to coast, ICE agents going city to city, sometimes door to door, tracking down the nearly 1.5 million undocumented set for deportation. And as ICE closes in on migrants, once vibrant Chicago neighborhoods are now turning into ghost towns. And tonight we are taking you to a neighborhood that has gone silent.
A neighborhood that has gone silent.
Look, I said from day one, no one's off the table.
The Trump administration setting out to execute what it has promised.
We arrested 1,300 people. Over 1,000 of them were criminals.
Immigration and customs enforcement operations reportedly underway in jurisdictions all across the nation. Federal agents have been spotted in many sanctuary cities carrying out these operations.
I hope the sanctuary cities come around.
The usually bustling and vibrant streets of this Hispanic neighborhood in Chicago sit relatively empty because of the concerns over ICE.
Welcome to Mesquite Restaurant, sir.
This little taqueria, like most in the Pilsen neighborhood, is owned and operated by immigrants. The Cruz family, who in 1994 made the long journey from Mexico City to Chicago to grow their little taco stand into a thriving restaurant.
We got tacos, we got breakfast, chilaquiles.
This American dream is one thousands of migrants are striving for when they cross the southern border. But the drastic shutdown of illegal immigration is a campaign promise the majority of American voters are expecting Donald Trump to make good on.
Honest to you, when he come back again, I was like, man, I feel scared.
President Trump, border czar Tom Homan, and the highest-ranking members of Immigration and Customs Enforcement say they're only targeting violent criminals during these initial deportations. News Nation has seen what these operations look like. I rode along and conducted early morning raids with ICE agents when they arrested men from Iraq and Belize, convicted criminals who spent prison time for robbery and gun charges.
I'm not a criminal.
Now, mind you, right before we let this carry on, all these people were just out in the street free. They were just out in the street free. Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker are just letting these folks roam around the city and roam around the state just so that you can find yourself victim of one of these individuals. How these people are in office still is beyond me. And if they continue to remain in office after the fact, then like people always say in the comment section, all right, well, it looks like you're getting what you voted for, right? These people shouldn't be complaining and crying about it. And shout out to my man, Papa Onaya Shelley, who's been rocking with me for the longest time now. What he said is so true, right? Concerning how these cities in Chicago, certain areas have become ghost towns now. I saw another comment in passing that's where somebody said something about a flea market in Texas that they normally go to was completely empty, right? Nobody was around. Everybody's apparently in their home scared. And as Papa Nayasheli said, that just shows how bad our illegal immigrant problem is. It just highlights that. Because why is everybody running? Why are you inside the house? What's really going on over here? Right? This is how horrible the situation is.
Criminal. I'm a good guy. I pay my taxes. I do everything right. You know what's going to happen to me? They're going to grab me too. You know? They're not going to check right now.
We've seen examples of resistance throughout Hispanic neighborhoods, including these signs instructing immigrant men and women to push back and block federal agents from entering their homes. But the reality is, new polling shows 65% of Americans strongly support deporting immigrants convicted of violent crimes.
Can we listen to that one more time, please? 65% of Americans said we want mass deportation. We can never let that, go over our heads and just something that just is stated flippantly. This is something that the overwhelming majority of Americans, like myself, wants and voted for.
But the reality is, new polling shows 65% of Americans strongly support deporting immigrants convicted of violent crimes. That includes Horatio Aguilera, an Iraq War veteran and Mexican-American police officer. He voted for Trump and wants mass deportations of criminals to carry on as quickly as possible.
A lot of Hispanic Americans, there was also a rise that voted for Trump. I think 9 out of 10 people that are living here in America, Chicago, Illinois, are going to agree that if you're an illegal resident and you are arrested for committing a crime, prosecuted for committing a crime, and you are an illegal resident, you are subject to deportation.
And that's something that folks like to keep under the radar. Many of you remembered throughout my coverage of the migrant crisis as it was affecting Chicago during the Biden years, I would frequently bring up the poll that was done in Chicago, in which the citizens were polled and asked, do you favor removing Chicago's sanctuary city status? Overwhelmingly, the Black citizens of Chicago said yes. Right underneath them, the majority of Hispanics also said yes. I'm very happy that they had that individual. I believe they said he's a Mexican American police officer who highlighted the fact that Hispanics did vote for Donald Trump, right? A good deal, more than last election. And the idea that Hispanics are in support of open borders and all this kind of madness that Joe Biden had ushered on to us, that just simply isn't true. That simply isn't true, especially in a city like Chicago. Hispanics, they're not interested in open borders in a city being a sanctuary city just as much as any and everybody else is. Going back to that poll, then we're going to move on. Black citizens, Hispanic citizens, and Asian citizens in Chicago all stated that they wanted an end to the sanctuary city status that Chicago holds. It was only white liberals who majority stated in the poll that they wanted Chicago to remain a sanctuary city. All right. Okay. But once again, that's also very important to highlight as well. This whole people of color, minority, marginalized groups thing. And oh my God, you're attacking minorities. The so-called minorities don't want this. So when you have CNN and MSNBC and all these other DNC mainstream media liberal networks pushing this narrative that this is an attack on minorities, oh my God, no, it's not. So-called minorities, so-called people of color are not interested in this, and they want it to end. And they voted for mass deportation. And here we are. Now, outside of the mass deportation, right, I do want to give you guys just a quick updates before we get back to Chicago, right? I want to give you guys a few updates just on what's going on overall. Let me pull this up first. Yesterday, nearly 1,000 illegal immigrants were arrested in a single day. Nearly 1,000, right? And that number is only climbing. I remember, I believe it was 24 hours into Trump's presidency, the number of illegal immigrants arrested that day, the first 24 hours was 300, maybe 46. And there were people that were upset, like only 24 hours in, saying only 346. That's such a small amount. people got to relax, man. Okay. People got to relax. You know, it's happening. The mass deportations are going on. And you can see that this number is climbing with every day that goes past. And with every day that goes past, you know, they fine tune their operations and the way in which that they go about this. But this idea that out the gate, there was supposed to be like, you know, 50,000 arrests a day is like crazy, right? The number within a week's time went from 300 some odd arrests to now 1,000 arrests in a day. People are questioning whether or not they'll be able to sustain 1,000 arrests a day, if not be able to up it. I think that that number is actually going to go up more, right? Because Trump has deputized more federal officials to be able to participate, you can say, for lack of better words, but they're able to, what's the word that I'm looking for? Basically, they're able to, I think he deputized them as ICE agents. I'm saying that wrong. It's not deputized as ICE agents, but essentially they're border patrol agents to some degree now, right? That can deport people. I'm brain farting. Let's just move on. Let's just move on. I'm brain farting really bad right now. Let me pull this up on the screen for you guys real quick too. Look at this here. Look at this here. Border crossing comparisons, right? Biden versus Trump administration. At the peak of Biden's being in office, we had 12,000 border crossings a day. 12,000 illegal immigrants crossing the border each and every day. Under Trump, that number has plummeted to 665. That is unbelievable. 665. Go figure. This truly highlights how much Biden and Harris were truly lying to us as it pertains to what they could do and what they couldn't do at the border, right? And also take into account and really let it settle in that all these people that are being apprehended all across the country, Biden and Harris were just going to let them roam free. Coming back to this here, 12,000 illegal border crossings a day. Can you believe that if Harris won, this would have actually continued? That 12,000 number would have continued. We dodged a bullet with Harris losing. That is unbelievable to think that this would have carried on had she won. So now what I want to do next is that I want to shift back over to Chicago because I want to get into this conversation here that happens between Tom Homan and Dr. Phil. You know, after they made numerous arrests that night, many of the folks that they arrested were sex offenders. You know what I mean? That were just running around free. And that's what they're going to talk about. I will give you guys this warning, as I tend to give you guys this warning if the volume's a little, you know, there's a lot of background noise because they are in the middle of the street where cars driving around. So if you're in a loud area, my apologies. It might be a little bit difficult for you to hear, but it is what it is. So let's get into this video clip now.
They go, who picks them up? This is who picks them up. This is who lures them out on the internet, and they disappear or they get raped and their lives change forever. And he shouldn't even be here, but he's doing this. But they don't raise their hand and say, hey, there's somebody that doesn't even have the right to be here that's preying upon our children, and they don't tell you about it.
Exactly. And this Governor Pritzker, and the mayor, they want to vilify the men and women of ICE. ICE saved children today. ICE saved children today. And it makes me angry. Governor Pritzker the other day went on the internet, social media, saying ICE was attacking our elementary school. He's scaring children. He's scaring the neighborhood, putting fear in the community. We're doing the exact opposite. We're saving children. I
want to take a moment because it might be a little hard for you to hear what he's talking about. What he's speaking about right now, some of you might know this, some of you might not. There was a false news story that went out that all Democrats ran with, including J.B. Pritzker, that ICE agents attempted to go into an elementary school. That was a lie. That didn't happen. It was the Secret Service, and there was some sort of a violent threat that was placed over the phone. I guess they were just checking up to make sure that everything was okay, like at the school. But it wasn't ICE agents, right? It wasn't ICE agents that showed up to the elementary school. But everybody ran with that line that ICE agents tried to show up to the school to deport children, but they were stopped in their tracks from coming in by the teacher. That just simply wasn't true. Meanwhile, in reality, what's actually and truly going on is that you have Tom Homan featuring Dr. Phil, who are actually saving children by bringing these offenders off the streets. Offenders that Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker had no problem with being free amongst the citizen population.
Sexual predator we arrest means more safe children.
Let me rewind it back just a little bit.
We're doing the exact opposite. We're saving children. Every sexual predator we arrest means more safe children. So God bless the men and women of ICE. As you've seen today, we're not sweeping neighborhoods. This is a target enforcement operation. We spend a lot of time investigating these people. We know exactly who we're looking for. So it's a target enforcement operation. It's the right thing to do.
Well, let's talk about how methodical this was, because you guys had this man, this monster on the list, and they've been sitting on this guy for 2 or 3 days to try to get where he was and his pattern, and you were actually able to ping his cell phone and get him on the move so he could be picked up on the street rather than if he got to his dwelling, wherever that is, and got behind a closed door, then he could have sat there and you didn't have the right to go in and get him if he sits behind that door, right?
Not without a criminal arrest warrant, but that's exactly the point. He could have been arrested at county jail, in the safety and security of county jail by one officer.
Right.
But we spent hundreds of hours to investigate him, try to find out where he is, and we did find him. It takes a whole team for officer safety reasons to arrest him. Right. It's not efficient. We could arrest many more criminals if you let us in the jail. It's a lot harder to find these guys out in the public. These guys don't want to be found. They're in the wind. It takes a lot of investigative work to find them. Let us in the jail. Don't let them hit the street. It saves officers time. It's safer for the community. It's safer for the alien. It's safer for the officer. But spending hundreds of hours of investigation to find this guy when we could have got him in 5 minutes at the Cook County Jail.
Okay.
I want to take a moment to just kind of elaborate on what Dr. Phil was saying concerning how, they were able to ping his location via his cell phone, and they were able to track him down and how he was on the move. But had he arrived at his quote place of dwelling, they wouldn't have been able to go inside, right? They wouldn't have had a warrant or anything like that to go in. What some of you may know, but some of you may not know, you definitely know it if you're subscribed to this channel, which you should be subscribed to this channel if you're watching me right now, and hit the like button as well. I would really appreciate that. Is that in Chicago, many of the aldermen, right, city councilmen and women, were handing out leaflets in these neighborhoods with the blessing of Emperor Brandon Johnson on how to evade ICE. They're giving out information on how to evade federal law enforcement. Who does that protect the most? You got to ask that question. Who does that protect the most? And why are you trying to protect these people? This is why I refer to, those Democrats in Chicago and throughout the country as DNC lunatics, because you have to be a lunatic to be handing out information on how to get away from the feds when these folks are criminals, like the guy that they just picked up earlier. I want to transition over here right now. And also make sure you follow me on Telegram if you haven't already. That is extremely important that you do that. As I always say, to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. Okay. You don't have to worry about not getting your notifications if you're following me on Telegram, right? The link to my Telegram is in the description box below. It's pinned in the live chat and will be pinned in the comment section as well once the stream is over. So while we have all this going on, right? Look at this here. Let me zoom in. This is ridiculous. Since Tom Homan arrived in Chicago, ICE agents have arrested 6 SEX offenders, 3 Terrain de Aragua gang members, and 2 illegals convicted of deletion. And we all know what that means, right? Deletion. Yet CNN tells the story of a grandfather now facing deportation after living here illegally for 30 years. CNN sucks. Oh my God, they couldn't wait to run stories like what I'm going to play for you right now. That's where, the woman that's crying on the thumbnail, it's from the story here. They couldn't wait. All of these horrible people are being snatched off the street in Chicago. And instead of talking about all of these offenders that are being taken off the street, violators of women, trafficking of young ones under 18, right? Deleters that are running around the city, gang members that are being arrested, instead of addressing that, this is what CNN wants to talk about instead. They want to address this.
The first story that we're learning from is CNN affiliate WLS. This is in a northern suburb. A woman says that her father was picked up by ICE after ICE knocked on his door and then arrested him. This is a man who's 44 years old. He's a grandfather, and he arrived here from Mexico 30 years ago. Here's what his daughter said. Take a listen.
They won't open the door because they thought maybe one of us were in trouble or something happened to us. He never did anything that would have been nice. I'm already heartbroken myself, and I can't really imagine little kids whose families are breaking apart because of this.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. They couldn't wait to run with these stories where they can find somebody crying, talking about families being ripped apart. I've given this example so many times. Some of you might be sick of it, but I'm going to give it again because it's just relevant to the conversation. I have an 11-year-old son. If I'm a fugitive on the run for whatever the reason being, and I get picked up for the crime that I committed and I get taken away, is anybody going to cry for TD's son and say, oh my God, what's TD's son going to do now that his father's no longer in his life? How is his son going to turn out? You literally would not care. Nobody watching me right now would care, let alone this woman that's crying here. So knock it off. Knock it off. Knock it off. And mind you, this is a clip that CNN is playing that was actually aired on ABC. And they were hamming it up on ABC. They were hamming it up on ABC with the crying, and allegedly a 4-year-old child was crying because the 4-year-old child was scared they were going to get deported. Whenever I hear stuff like that, I just don't believe it because it just sounds silly. The 9-month-old child was scared they're going to get deported. How does a 9-month-old child, how is a 9-month-old child scared to be deported? What are you talking about? The kid's too young to even know what's going on. You know what I mean? But they were hamming it up big time on ABC on the original story. So as we round things out, I want to play this for you as we get ready to head out of here.
It's where Yelitza Marquina fights through her pain and tears after she says her father, Andres Marquina, was arrested from his Waukegan home early Sunday morning by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents. She says the 44-year-old grandfather came to the U.S. from Mexico nearly 30 years ago.
They won't open the door because they thought maybe one of us were in trouble or something happened to us. He never did anything that would have been nice.
If you're going to be upset, for those like her who are crying and upset, be mad at Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker, because that's why I put like the title on the thumbnail that I did. Homan warned you, don't cry now. He literally told you over and over and over again, if you don't let us in the jail to get these public safety threats, then we're going to have to hit the streets. And when we hit the streets, there's going to be collateral damage, because if we come across, mothers, fathers, grandfathers, whatever, if you're illegal, we're going to take you because the law is the law. Homan was trying to give you an opportunity to kind of let everybody get their affairs in order. Okay. He was trying to give you a chance for people to get their affairs in order, because eventually it was going to come back around to those that are just here illegally, especially those that have deportation orders on them. But he just said, for starters, we're going to deal with the criminal safety threats. But if you won't let us get them in the jail, we're going to get them in the street. And if we have to get them in the street and you're in the way, then it is what it is, because the law is the law. So don't be mad at Homan. Don't be mad at Donald Trump. And don't be mad at me for reporting it. You like how I put myself in there with Donald Trump, Homan, and me? Yeah, I'm part of that too. You know, they don't know me, but you know, it is what it is. I like to think that. But don't be mad at us. Okay. Don't be mad at us. Be mad at the Democrats that created this situation. That was an extreme situation concerning the migrant crisis that now calls for an extreme response. Be mad at the Democrats. Be mad at Brandon Johnson. Be mad at J.B. Pritzker. But don't be mad at us. Okay? Don't be mad at us. Let's carry on.
Who was born in the U.S. is one of many.
Rewind it back just a little bit.
Yulitza, who was born in the U.S., is one of many people now seeking legal help at Pastor Julie Contreras' place of worship.
I had a 4-year-old crying, fearing deportation.
No, you didn't. Oh, they couldn't wait to ham it up with these kind of fake stories. I had a 4-year-old crying that I was going to be deported. Like I said, this ABC News, they really hammed it up.
That is not making America great again.
Their concerns coming as ICE agents began to sweep through the Chicago area from Berwyn, where this cell phone video was captured, to Albany Park, where a Guatemalan immigrant spoke to ABC7 while asking us to hide his identity.
I opened the curtain and saw that it said police. When I saw the agents get out, they had the building surrounded. So they entered. They went up and started knocking on the doors really loudly. My children started crying.
I told you, oh my God, they hammed it up so much on this ABC little special. Children just crying everywhere. Children allegedly just crying all over the place. Are you going to talk about all of the public safety threats? All of the dangerous people that were picked up? No. Let's make up stories about, children are crying. Why would, if you didn't open the door, if they knocked on your door, and this is how you know he's lying, right? They knocked on your door really hard, allegedly, right? They banged on your door, but you didn't open the door. Why would your children randomly be crying? Every now and then, for whatever the reason being, somebody might be knocking on my door really hard, I guess. You know what I mean? Everybody's had their door knocked on hard at some point in time. If you had children, maybe if you're older, if you had grandchildren in the house, did the children ever just start randomly crying for no reason? Because somebody was knocking on the door really hard, but the children don't know what's going on. They just hear a loud knock on the door? No. Unless they're an infant and they just got woken up out of their sleep, then okay. But if that's not the case, then I don't believe you. You're lying. You're making up stories. And that's just the reality of it, at least in my opinion. I believe, I assume.
And started crying.
The fear is that they will detain other people around them, maybe that live there or maybe that just happen to interact with them. And that's why it's important that folks know their rights and they don't have to answer any questions.
Arming people with that education in hopes they're prepared for the possible arrival of immigration enforcement.
I'm already heartbroken myself.
Anyways, that's going to do it for today's stream, okay? That's enough of this. Oh my God, they just could not wait to run with these stories. They couldn't wait. They couldn't wait to find. I wish I queued up the video clip too. I don't have it queued up. I have it, but I don't have it queued up. It's of Tom Homan saying that what we're seeing now is what was going to happen, right? There's a video clip of him saying at the first opportunity to get to find a woman crying or some children crying, for whatever the reason being, they're going to run that on Hyperloop. And now here we are. Woman crying. Apparently all these kids are crying. 4-year-old children are saying, I don't want to be deported, even though I don't even know how the 4-year-old child would know what was going on, unless you're putting fear in that child's heart, which would be completely ridiculous for you to be doing that. That says a lot about your parenting, but he said that this was going to happen. And it's here. What we're dealing with right now is a PR war. But for the moment, it's a PR war that Homan is winning. And Trump is actually winning. They're winning the PR war as it pertains to mass deportation. Because how do you argue against all of these bad guys being arrested and deported? You can't. You can't. All you can do in defense is try to find, videos and photos like this that can pull at people's heartstrings, but it's not working. It's not working. People are seeing this and they're just kind of shrugging their shoulders, going, hey, I don't know what to tell you. Homan warned you, and the leaders of your city didn't listen. So now, here we are. So with all that being said, that's going to do it for today's show. Please hit the like button on your way out. Don't hear me say hit the like button and you leave without hitting the like button. Please hit the like button, okay? Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, right? Hit the bell notification next to the subscribe button. Telegram. Please follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group, okay? Please follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. That way you don't have to worry about not getting your notifications. You get all your notifications via Telegram, all right? And that's it. Follow me on Rumble as well, because I'm on Rumble also, simulcasting, I think it's called. So let's get into the super chats very briefly, and then we're going to head on out of here. Shout out to my man, DSB, who said, ain't no sense in stalling TD on here, family. Stalling? Ain't no sense in stalling? That autocorrect got you. Even though I don't know what it corrected, but it happens sometimes. But I appreciate you, DSB. You're always coming through, man. As he did multiple times, gifting out 5 memberships. Then he gifted out another membership, and then he ran it back with a super sticker. Thank you, DSB. I appreciate you, bro, for always coming through the way that you do. Shout out to Cynthia Haynes, who said, I want to express my appreciation and gratitude for President Donald J. Trump and Tom Homan. I'm right there with you, Cynthia. I am right there with you. College of Natural Health Science, BDA, said, my black dog is still hiding under the black bed since November 6th. Worried about them chains. And now ICE. Oh, man. You got me coughing. At first, we were worried about getting put back in chains. Now we got to worry about ICE too. I haven't played this in so long. Let me, just for you, College of Natural Health and Science. Let me play this. Let me play this. Where is it at? Where is it at? Here we go. Hold on just a second, everybody. I'm doing this just for College of Natural Health and Science.
They're gonna put you all back in chains.
That's what we were told. They said if Donald Trump won, what was going to happen to black folks?
They're gonna put you all back in chains.
Oh man, and now I guess we got to worry about ICE too. Okay, I guess. Oh man, College of Natural Health and Science ran it back one more time. I appreciate your 10 months of service. Thank you very much. Said you better thank a union member for Tom Homan. Absolutely. You better thank a union member for Tom Homan. Aren't you so glad you don't have to hear this voice anymore?
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Geez. Aren't you so happy that that's gone forever? That is gone forever. Just Lord have mercy. I do not want to hear that voice ever again. Al Mick said, I'm late to the conversation, just got off. Replay gang, big shouts out to TD Media Group. I appreciate you, Al Mick. Al Mick, I think is, yeah, Al Mick. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And Willis Addison said, they need to go home, fix their own country. They need to fix their own country. Got to fix their own country. I'll say this in closing, right? Piggybacking off of, what Willis Addison just stated. I saw this, I don't know if it was in Chicago or what, right? It might have been in Chicago, but it was some protest against mass deportation that was happening somewhere, in which there was a whole bunch of foreign flags being raised, right? Foreign flags were everywhere. It was mainly Mexican flags, but it was a bunch of different foreign flags. And I remember I was sitting and I'm watching it and I'm looking at this and I'm observing this. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't ever even know what's going to happen, right? Again, but I don't ever in life want to hear anybody, Democrats, right, ever making these kind of false comparisons between illegal immigration, mass deportation, the tears that this woman is crying, and making that comparison with like the civil rights movement and things of that nature. Democrats are good for like latching on all type of other foolishness to Black history and the civil rights movement and everything like that. That's one thing that they're good for. Go back and watch old footage of the civil rights movement, old black and white footage of folks marching. You had a bunch of Black folks, Black Americans, marching for their right to be treated as citizens and human beings while waving American flags. They weren't waving Pan-African flags. They weren't waving flags of other countries. They weren't doing that. They were waving American flags, right? But then when you fast forward to today's date, all this other foolishness that they want to latch on to that now, are they waving American flags? No. They're waving Mexican flags. They're waving Palestinian flags. They're waving flags from every nation on this earth except for American flags. But then saying that they want some sort of rights as Americans and as human beings on American soil and as citizens. How are you asking to be treated as a citizen and you're demanding to have just automatic citizenship and things of that nature, yet you're waving the flag of another country? That doesn't make any sense. That literally, it makes no sense at all whatsoever. But I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there because it's time for me to head out. So I'll catch you guys later, man. See you tomorrow. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video out on your social media platforms. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram and Rumble. Thank you all for your time. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. Peace and have a great afternoon.